Welcome to the Rational Edge. I want to start with a scenario, a feeling really that I think you've probably had, whether you're running a small business or, managing a huge corporate treasury.
Okay.
You open your accounting software and it says, clear as day, you've got $10,000 in the bank.
Right. The number you're counting on.
Exactly. Then you get the bank statement, or maybe you just check the mobile app, and the bank says, nope, you only have $8,500.
That little heart-stopping moment.
That's the one. And that gap, that space between what your records show and what the bank knows, well, that's a huge source of anxiety. And frankly, it's a massive control weakness if you just ignore it.
It is. And that discrepancy is exactly what bank reconciliation is designed to solve.
I feel like a lot of people hear that term and they tune out. Boring accounting stuff.
They do, but it's so much more than that. It's fundamentally a crucial internal control. Its whole mission is to verify that single true cash balance by explaining every single reason why your internal ledger, your book balance, doesn't match the bank's balance.
So it's less about the math
Yeah.
and more about finding the financial truth.
Precisely. It's about verification.
It's like a bridge then. You have these two separate records
Yeah.
and you have to adjust both sides until they meet right in the middle.
That's a perfect way to put it. And when they meet, that gives you the actual cash figure you can really rely on.
And if you don't do this, you're not just off by a few pennies. You're basically operating blind when it comes to your most important, most liquid asset.
You are. So let's just make sure we ground this right. Bank reconciliation is that mandatory process of matching the company book balance against the bank statement balance.
All to get to that one true number.
Yeah.
The adjusted cash balance.
It's the one true number.
So what does that number actually do for a company? Because, like you said, it's more than just knowing if you can pay the bills this month.
Right. It really connects to what I call the 3 pillars of financial management.
Okay.
First up is just accuracy, error correction. This is your cleanup phase. The whole process is specifically designed to catch mistakes.
Mistakes by who? The company or the bank?
Both. It could be a simple transposition error by your accountant, a classic book error, or it could be one of those rare but really serious mistakes made by the bank itself.
Right. And pillar number 2.
This one is critical. Cash control and fraud detection.
The exciting part.
The exciting part, yeah. This is your company's frontline defense. Anytime cash is misappropriated, let's say an employee writes a phony check to themselves or pockets some cash receipts, that discrepancy is going to show up first during the reconciliation.
So if you reconcile every day, you could catch fraud almost immediately.
Immediately. But if you wait 60 days, that cash is long gone.
Wow. So it stops being just a math check and it becomes an integrity check. It's about making sure every dollar that moved was authorized and logged correctly.
Absolutely. And that brings us to the third pillar, financial reporting. The raw numbers from your books or the bank statement, they're basically useless for external reporting. You must use the reconciled figure, the adjusted cash balance on your balance sheet.
Under cash and cash equivalents.
That's the one. If you fail that step, your entire financial picture is it's unreliable.
Okay, so let's unpack how we actually build that bridge. We got the bank side and we've got our company's book side. And we need to adjust both.
Correct. And traditionally, the adjustments fall into 2 main buckets.
Which are?
Timing differences. And then, items the company just didn't know about until the statement showed up.
Let's start with timing. That affects the bank's balance.
Exactly. These are transactions your company has already recorded, but the bank just hasn't finished processing them yet.
Okay, give me an example.
The classic one is the deposit in transit, or DIT.
DIT, got it.
You get a check, you record it on your books right away, but you dropped it in the night deposit box on, say, the 30th of the month after the bank's cutoff time.
So it won't show up on this month's statement.
Right. It'll be on the 1st of next month. But since that money is legitimately yours right now, you have to ADD that DIT back to the bank's balance on your reconciliation.
And we saw this with our example company, Rational Edge Studio. They had a $200 deposit logged on June 30th. It wasn't on the bank statement, so they added it back to the bank's total. A classic lag.
A classic timing lag. Now, the flip side of that is the outstanding check.
This would be the opposite, I'm guessing?
Exactly the opposite. You write a check to a vendor, you immediately record the expense, and the cash is subtracted from your company's books.
But the vendor might not cash it right away.
They might hold on to it for a week, maybe 2. So the bank hasn't paid it out yet. This means the bank's balance is artificially high.
So you have to subtract that outstanding check amount to find the true number.
You got it. Rational Edge had a $100 outstanding check they had to subtract. These two things, DITs and outstanding checks, are mostly about the lag in physical banking.
Right. And I suppose there's one more thing for the bank side.
Yes, occasionally you'll find a bank error. The bank just messes up. Maybe they put someone else's deposit in your account. You'd add or subtract whatever is needed to correct their mistake.
Okay, so that's the bank side. Now we flip to our side, the book side adjustments.
And these are often items that, happen automatically or are charges that you only find out about once you get that bank statement.
So things we didn't know about.
Exactly. First, you often need to ADD unrecorded cash receipts.
Like what?
This could be interest earned on your checking account. Or, for bigger companies, sometimes the bank acts as a collection agent for them. That cash hits the bank account automatically, but your accountant has to see it on the statement to update the company's own records.
Right. Our example company, Rational Edge, they added $30 for interest.
They did. Then, conversely, you have to subtract bank service fees, charges for account maintenance, check printing, wire transfers.
Stuff you only see when the statement arrives.
Yep. Rational Edge had to deduct a $50 charge for printing new checks.
And then there's the really painful subtraction.
Yes. The NSF check. Non-sufficient funds.
The bounce check.
The bounced check. A customer pays you, you happily record the cash in your books, you think you're good.
And then
Their bank rejects the check. They didn't have the money, so your bank just claws that money right back out of your account.
So what do you do then? It's a two-step process, isn't it?
It is. First, you have to subtract that amount from your book balance. The cash is gone.
And second,
this is the business process part. You have to convert that balance back into an account receivable. That customer still owes you the money.
right, it doesn't just disappear. Rational Edge had a $40 NSF check to deal with.
They did, and after you account for any internal book errors, maybe you recorded a $1,000 transaction as 100 if you've done everything correctly.
The adjusted bank balance should equal the adjusted book balance.
It must equal it. For Rational Edge, that final verified number was $5,100. That's the number that goes on the balance sheet. And every single one of those book side adjustments needs a formal journal entry to update the company ledger.
That whole process, that ticking and tying of every single transaction,
Yeah.
that used to be the misery at the end of every month for accountants.
It was. But that entire paradigm has just been, it's been turned on its head. We're moving out of the world of paper and Excel and into what some people call touchless accounting.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting for anyone working in finance today. The old system was all about waiting for a physical statement.
Right, a historical document.
But now we have bank feeds. The whole data source has changed. Our ERP systems, the company's main software, can now pull transaction data directly from the bank, sometimes multiple times a day.
The ERP, which is like the central nervous system of the company's finances, now uses these really sophisticated auto-match rules.
So no more manual ticking.
Almost none. If the system sees a check for $5,000 recorded in the company books on June 5th, and it sees a $5,000 withdrawal on the bank feed on June 7th, it just automatically flags those two as reconciled. They're cleared.
It completely changes the frequency, doesn't it? The whole idea of a month-end reconciliation just feels kind of outdated now.
It is. We've moved from monthly historical reporting to continuous reconciliation.
Daily, even.
Daily, absolutely. Why wait 30 days to find a problem? If the feed updates every morning, your cash position is verified every morning. Think about what that means for a treasury team. They have real-time visibility for investment or borrowing decisions.
So the human accountant's job, it shifts almost completely to exception handling.
100%. If 98% of transactions are cleared automatically by the rules, the system just spits out the 2% that need a human brain to look at them.
You stop being a data entry clerk and you start becoming a financial detective.
A great way to put it. And this is where machine learning comes in to make it even smarter. The AI isn't just matching exact numbers anymore, it's learning patterns. For instance, the system learns that the recurring $19.99 charge from XYZ Corp is always a cloud subscription.
So next month?
Next month, it sees that charge, it automatically categorizes it, and clears it, often before a human even sees the statement.
Okay, this is the crucial pivot for our listeners then.
Yeah.
When the machine is handling 90% of the mechanics, where does the new value for a financial professional lie?
It shifts entirely. It moves from execution to oversight and risk management.
So for the accountant on the ground, what's their new main skill?
Configuration logic. You are now the architect of the system's rules.
What does that mean in practice?
Well, if you set the tolerance for auto-matching too wide, say, you let the system clear any transaction within a $2 difference. You've just introduced a massive systemic risk.
You could be clearing fraud attempts or masking real errors without even knowing it.
Exactly. The system might say it's balanced, but the entire cash account is fundamentally unreliable because you designed the rules poorly.
That is a huge responsibility. It's not about whether you can check the boxes anymore. It's about whether you designed the box correctly in the first place.
And you still have to manage those unmatched items. The system flags an NSF check. The value isn't just in making the journal entry to fix the books.
What is it then?
The value is in recognizing the immediate business action required, calling the collections team, updating that customer's credit profile, and actively tracking that receivable. The system finds the illness. The human has to initiate the cure.
This shift feels like it would be even more profound for auditors. I mean, if there's no paper trail to sample, what do they even test anymore?
Their focus has shifted completely to what we call system reliance testing.
So not testing the transactions, but testing the system itself.
Precisely. They have to verify things like, is the auto-match logic strict enough to prevent collusion? Who has the security clearance to change the matching rules? Who can modify the API connection to the bank?
So they're auditing the code and the access rights, not the individual debits and credits.
Right. To make sure the data being generated is trustworthy from the ground up. And there's one specific thing they have to be extremely vigilant about now.
What's that?
Old reconciling items.
Why is that a bigger deal now?
Think about it. If the system reconciles daily, a deposit in transit should clear in a day or two. Right.
Sure, that makes sense.
So what does it mean if a DIT or an outstanding check is just hanging there on the reconciliation report for 30, 60, even 90 days?
That's a huge red flag.
A massive red flag. It points directly to potential fraud or misappropriation. And it's something a human can easily overlook if 99% of the balance is clearing automatically every day.
So in this new automated world, the audit focus shifts from worrying about accidental mistakes to actively hunting for intentional malfeasance.
I think that's a fair summary. The final key audit area is electronic security. They have to test the integrity of that bank API connection, and they have to review the audit logs.
Looking for what?
Looking for proof that no unauthorized person has manually overridden the system or just forced the reconciliation to balance, hiding a real cash shortfall.
Wow. This has been a fantastic look at how fundamental financial control has evolved.
It really has.
We started with that basic personal frustration of your cash records not matching the bank's. And we defined bank reconciliation as the crucial control needed to find the true adjusted cash balance.
We did. And we ran through the essential manual adjustments, breaking them down into timing differences like deposits in transit and knowledge gaps like NSF checks.
And then we really explored that radical leap into automation,
Moving from paper statements to live bank feeds.
which transforms the process from a monthly chore into continuous reconciliation, all powered by auto-match rules in the ERP system.
And I think most critically, we established how the value of the financial professional has shifted. It's moved away from data processing and towards setting strict configuration logic, managing business actions like NSF follow-up.
And for auditors, it's now about rigorously testing the integrity and security of the automated systems themselves.
Right.
I think the final takeaway here is pretty clear. Bank reconciliation is no longer just a historical math problem you solve with a calculator.
Not at all. It has become a critical, real-time data integrity and risk management function. It's what defines the truth and the security of your organization's cash flow.
Thank you for listening. See you next time.